What is going up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sidelines here. And this evening, let me tell you something. The All-Cuban-American College Football National Championship. Cuban head coach in Miami, Cuban quarterback in Indiana. And there's like five different guys who have also come from, Miami, or let alone rather Christopher Columbus High School, where Mendoza and Mario Cristobal came from. This was an all Miami type of championship. A South Florida win overall. Not a win for the Canes. We'll go into that. And, of course, something's going on in the NFL. Caleb Williams, and don't mind the nail polish, but getting things done in the cold, unable to do it against the Rams. So we got a lot of things to talk about. NFL, college football, national championship down here in Miami Gardens. But I do want to mention one thing, because I'm probably not going to be going back and forth talking about it. The Dolphins news. For some reason, the Miami Dolphins decided it was the best time to announce a head coaching hire while in the same facilities right next door, college football's biggest day is going on. I think the NFL just knows, we got to be getting one up on these guys. You know what I mean? So the Miami Dolphins ended up getting Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator from the Green Bay Packers, John Eric Sullivan, the GM, newest general manager for the Miami Dolphins. His connections with him ties over from Wisconsin, over from Green Bay. Obviously, a lot of people have no doubt that Hafley used to be the head coach of the Boston College Eagles. ACC didn't do much in college. And again, that might be a different tenure now in the NFL with the Dolphins. Green Bay, and there is some puzzles to it, though. 11 head coaching candidates go through Miami, right, in the interviewing process. Only one of them, in Hafley, got that second interview. In reality, Hafley was expected Wednesday to interview as well with the Titans. And so Miami immediately saw that as a threat, decided to jump on this as soon as possible. So maybe they weren't like, okay, we got to be up and top of the national championship. Maybe it was just kind of like, let's grab and go. Maybe this is too soon of a hire. That's my standpoint on this Hafley deal. Because the Miami Dolphins, who in recent years under McDaniel's coach, you have struggles winning in December. You have struggles getting to the playoffs and winning deep in those type of scenarios where you can be competitive. You can basically be seen as a contender, whether that's for the division, whether that's for a Super Bowl, whether that be for a playoff spot, wild card, who knows? So you decided to go get yourself the defensive coordinator of Green Bay, who has given up multiple leads throughout the month of December as a coordinator for the Green Bay Packers defense. A Packers team that lost, the last 4 games of the season, including their playoff loss, where they're up 21-3 going to a fourth quarter against the Chicago Bears, who, of course, as I said previously, we'll talk about later on. That, to me, is concerning. Does no one look at the resume recently for some of these head coaching hires? Stefanski, I get it. Coach of the year twice. Went to the AFC Championship game as the Browns head coach, which is insane to think. But also, is that just Baker Mayfield? Is that just he doesn't really get the ball going? That's what I'm thinking. I really don't understand how exactly you can go into this as your Miami Dolphins and rush into a head coaching hire. They just interviewed Joe Brady, who won in 2019 the national championship with LSU as an offensive coordinator, and also with the Bills. And Sean McDermott just got fired. Maybe take a step back and check out what's going on. I don't know. But we're going to talk more things now college-wise, get the Dolphin stuff out of the way. As you know, of course, it's more of a South Florida podcast. But let's talk about what happened in Miami Gardens right now. So, again, All-Cuban-American final. Fernando Mendoza, Christopher Columbus alum, going against Christopher Columbus alum on the other side, being the coach, Mario Cristobal, of the Miami Hurricanes. This was a game that was played in Miami Gardens, home crowd. For Miami, people would expect, not really. From what people were reporting, 65% of that entire venue was Indiana, from the parking lots to inside. And obviously, you saw on ESPN the amount of aerial shots they had, which I felt was 50. They show up from on top, and I don't blame them. Beautiful venue, beautiful city, but overall, it was Indiana's game. 10-0 going through the entire first half. Carson Beck in the offense couldn't really feel anything out, right? Struggled to even get a first down. Struggled to even move the ball around. Fletcher in the first half was held like I don't know how many times back. And then Malachi Toney, the explosive freshman, 18-year-old, didn't see much of him. Didn't see much of Marion. CJ Daniels, where was he at until the second half? Canes did end up moving a lot in that third, but things change. Special teams matter. And actually, before I even go to the third quarter, that second quarter, the Canes trying to move down, they're able to get an attempt for 50 yards by Davis, the kicker. He doinks it, right side post. Canes can't get anything done. Then the punting team, deep in their own side of the field, number 87. And I apologize because I don't really know the guy's name, but I don't know a lot of guys are going to be knowing his name in the NFL Combine or let alone whatever Hard Knocks show he'll pop up for like the Bears or like Detroit Lions or the Browns or whatever it is. But this kid on the right side in special teams has a guy coming in at him from Indiana, doesn't even consider him, just shoves him away right into the kicker and blocks a punt. Miami gives up a touchdown via a special teams issue, and this team loses by 6. Indiana winning at 27-21. And this was a game where Miami throughout the entire playoffs have not allowed more than 2 touchdowns to be scored against them. Similar in this situation. However, both of them on the ground. Indiana getting a fullback to get inside. And then Fernando Mendoza, back-to-back fourth down conversions for Indiana. One of them being, of course, Mendoza, 12-yard run, just like pounding through guys, able to dive through the leap of faith. You might as well call it as that, as his faith is really deep with his Indiana team. I think when you look at where the NFL is coming, where it's a very quarterback-hungry league, and this is a quarterback, just a minimal quarterback draft. There's not a lot of quarterbacks on the top of my – because more goes back to Oregon. So what, Ty Simpson, Mendoza? Who else would even be considered for the NFL right now? But Mendoza getting into that in front of the Raiders, I think, honestly, he's going to be number 1. And that's not even questioned. He was going to be number 1 even prior to this game, right? But there was a lot of people that said, can Mendoza even compete in the NFL against some of these NFL guys? This proves it. This proves it. Jacoby Thomas, straight to the head. Targeting, not even called. Bloody Mendoza lip. He keeps on moving. Ruben Bain and Mesidor, sacking him, throwing him around. You see the bruises on his arm, throwing arm. He doesn't even flinch. You don't even see any like discomfort in him. Just jumps in the huddle. Let's go. Another first down. Okay, 3rd and long. Cool. I got Cooper backside. No problem. Over the shoulder, the Becker. No issue. So Mendoza has that ability that we're now going to see in the NFL. And Mendoza throughout this game, again, not a single passing touch on this one. 186 yards passing. Rushing wise, obviously Mendoza has that 1 touchdown. He got sacked a bunch of times. You would never even see that stat that even got even positive yards. That's how many times he got sacked throughout this game. And speaking of which, I do want to go on the Miami side of things. I don't think Miami comes back next year. The graduation decline, when it comes down to the players graduating and leaving, when it comes down to the NFL prospects, the amount of round 1 talent that was alone in this championship game, I can go across the board, whether that be CC, Mesidor, Akeem, Mendoza, obviously. If you even want to, because again, Mark Fletcher will be coming back next year for the Canes, but I really wouldn't believe that no NFL team would have got him right now. Like, that's how good Fletcher looked in this game. 2 touchdowns, one of them a 57-yard, which was his longest rush in his college career, believe it or not, in the national championship. The one prior of that, 56 yards against Texas A&M. So Mark Fletch, he'll be coming back, but again, he will most likely down the line be a top 3, top 2 draft choice. Well, second-round draft choice, rather, in the NFL one day. But this was a game that was built in the trenches. And Indiana, they didn't have the bigger guys compared to the D-line of Miami. They didn't have, the more talented, but they had the width. They had the motion, And this offensive line that basically won Rose Bowl MVP showed a reason why they probably would have been MVP again this time around. The one thing when you look at Miami and the offensive side of things, because I said, where's CJ Daniels? Where's Marion? Tony did have a touchdown. Tony, honestly, and again, we're talking about an 18-year-old kid putting the team on his back. 10 receptions, leads the team. 122 receiving yards, leads the team. And receiving touchdown, which is the only passing touchdown throughout this game by Carson Beck. Carson Beck, touchdown and interception, 232 yards passing, which we obviously know what was that interception. For those who missed out on the game, Carson Beck, similar to that of the Fiesta Bowl against Ole Miss, he has one last chance, a potential game-winning drive for the Canes. He goes down the field at the 50, basically throws over to the left, and it's to Marion, right? He's getting these targets. But double coverage, low ball, not thrown in the right place. Sharp, who came from Northwestern, another South Floridian, jumps on, gets a game-winning interception. And when you look at Beck's reaction, it's not like a Scorpion, like, oh, can't believe it. It's more of a, that might have been my last throw in football. Not saying he's not going to get drafted. Not saying that no NFL team's going to pick him up for like a training camp or something like that. But from what we've seen from the Hurricanes throughout this entire season, in the main narrative, a lot of Sunday guys playing on Saturday. A lot of guys that you can say, if they don't mess up, they're going to be fine throughout. And you saw that across the board. But Carson Beck was that one guy, got out of line a few times this year. 4 interception against Louisville. The interception against SMU on the road, which clinched that upset loss for the Canes. And now in this case, national championship for Mario Cristobal and Hurricanes. So Carson Beck, out of eligibility, Canes now got to figure out, where do we go from here, right? Is there another quarterback in the portal that they can even consider? Sam Levitt visit. Right after he visited, he decides to go to LSU with Lane Kiffin. Then they got this guy out of Duke. But now Duke apparently going to try and sue him, the Duke Blue Devils quarterback. And again, I apologize. I don't know his name. It's on my head. But now there's a whole different thing where, like, if you even attempt to get him with NIL or whatever for the Hurricanes, you might be a part of a legal issue with that. So now the Canes have to push away from their favorites. Emory Williams, the backup Canes quarterback, decides into the transfer portal now. So who exactly is that quarterback that isn't a true freshman? I can't even tell you it's on my head. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Canes fans out there that don't even know who that is. Can't even think of who would even be the quarterback next year. What's the receiving core like, Because Tony will be back, I said before. Fletcher in the running game will be back. Pringle, obviously. Shamar Brown, probably his last game into Canes, I believe. I believe he's a senior. Let me double check that. Sophomore, actually. Wow. Built like a senior. I'll tell you that. So the running game will be fine. This might be a very heavy running team, which the Hurricanes haven't seen in a while, with all these different transfer quarterbacks coming in from Van Dyke all the way to you have Cam Ward and now Carson Beck, who another thing too, because Beck against Ohio State and Ole Miss, you saw him use, as Chris Fowler would say, use his legs a lot of times. I didn't see that at all. Beck did not rush at all this game for an extra yard or easy first down or push. Now, that might be just, again, the physicality of Indiana's D-line, getting to the quarterback, able to mush in that O-line. The O-line had some issues. Like Brockemeyer had some issues blocking. CeCe, there was some moments there where he was overpowered. So I get that. But for the Canes, I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen with them. So now for the Miami Hurricanes, they look on to next season. AP poll actually just came out recently. Canes, number 2 in the nation, according to the Associated Press, ending off the year, which is obvious because, lost literally in the last game, national championship game. Ohio State at 5, I thought was kind of interesting, but that's for another day. Indiana, I think the one thing a lot of people miss out about this Indiana team, they have like the average age of a regular NFL roster. Like 24 average, 25 average year for these guys. A lot of them just JMU transfers. This was just a group of 5 guys that just decided, hey, Indiana seems like a fun place to go. Let's follow Cignetti. Let's see what happens. That's basically what this Indiana team is. It's just vibes, leadership, and the fact that Cignetti is in the middle of all this. And as fitting as it is, because a lot of people say like, oh, well, there's a Coach Saban tree, or, oh, he's also, well, no, he's his own guy. Like it's his own mentality, leadership, like the Penn State game that they had early in the year, Beaver Stadium. Oh, this team has never played here. It's not about, in the past, India never winning in that place. No, this team has never played here. And so that's what Indiana really has built that culture around, that every single team is a new team, a new season, a new year, and a rebrand, refresh. And so that's what's going to happen with Indiana without Mendoza. And now also Alberto Mendoza, the brother of Fernando, he's in the transfer portal as early as this morning, literally less than 24 hours of winning a national championship. So he'll probably stay for the parade, obviously, but definitely would have thought he would have at least stayed around. I don't know. Indiana side of things, though, I was really my apologies. Keelan Black, I was kind of surprised he was over Hemby in a lot of reps. He had 17 carries, 79 yards, and a lot of those times were like important portions of the game. Hemby, 60 on the ground, and Raleigh Nowakowski was just used once. I mean, again, tight end / fullback. Maybe, there's a lot of NFL teams that might be pushing for that. So you love to see that. And if you're a scout, you want to see that more, especially out of some tight ends. So that was good to see from Indiana's side of things. Cooper and Becker. I know I talked about earlier about 3rd and long, Mendoza able to find these guys, but like some of the snags they're able to do. Underhand, 1 catch, Becker on the sideline. And number 24 for the Canes, O'Connor, he did everything he can to get Cooper, and he just couldn't do it. And this is the type of guy like, and I might be butchering the name, I apologize, but Elijah Sarek, I thought he'd be more involved in this game. To me, he seems like, weapon number 1 for Mendoza, Indiana last season, which is now, basically the last season. But Amari Cooper Jr., definitely Cooper Cup material. Becker, thought I was looking at a little like Malik Beasley type of things, or like not Malik Beasley, Cole Beasley, Cowboys slot receiver. Totally forgot. They got to bring those guys back though. Like this shifty white guys in slot now turning to vertical monsters. It's a weird mashup. Like Cooper DeJean playing secondary now in the NFL. Like no one expected that. What is going on in the skill position? It's kind of pushing the envelope here. I like it. But yeah, so Indiana, will they be in the same category as next year? I don't think so. Like this team, I think just rebounded and rebuilt off the roster that they had in their first college football playoff appearance run under Cignetti. But obviously Mendoza being gone is going to affect things. Your O-line, some guys will be gone. You're going to figure out how exactly this offense is going to cooperate under new leadership on the field, that is. Because, again, Cignetti and these guys are not leaving anywhere. I don't even think there's even any bit of the coaching staff being poached right now around college football, which is kind of rare to see nowadays. You start, like an offensive coordinator, he's already accepted a job to go to Cal or something like that in the middle of a playoff run. Or you'll have, a guy from Alabama, he's going to be going to like JMU or something like that. So you see that more and more in college football, especially in the NFL. Guys just get poached right after a playoff is finished. But in this case, Indiana's been able to get guys together. So that's huge. That's very huge. But speaking of which, of coaching candidacy and things like that, let's go into the NFL side of things. NFL playoffs having going on for the past few weeks. I feel like, I'm not going to say I feel bad for some of the teams because some of them just do it to themselves. Like the Steelers, all this age, 42-year-old, 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. You finally get the division game. You're at home. You can't even show up on offense. The Texans defense basically bails out C.J. Stroud And Stroud, after the game, you see it in social media saying, like, hey, you mad? Oh, my God, da-da-da-da, like talking crap. Just to get to New England against the best team in the AFC. I don't care that the Broncos got the number 1 seed. New England is, as of right now, the best team in the AFC, in my honest opinion. And most likely should be a reality after the next week. But divisional game. AFC divisional. Patriots winning at 28-16. Stroud season's over. He's always like set up like the worst type of things. Like the one time where he like beats out Caleb Williams just for him to be like, hey man, keep your head down, da-da-da. Like give him like as if he's a 5-year vet in his second year, talking to Caleb Williams his rookie year. Just for Caleb Williams to go on and to have like this insane playoff. I mean, I don't think anyone's seen this type of playoff journey. Packers come back down 21-3 was huge against the Rams, which unfortunately they did lose by an overtime field goal, 20-17. The guy on 4th down, running back like what felt like 50 yards back with 4 guys chasing him, throws a perfect dot to come in the end zone, basically open. I don't know how exactly. I mean, I thought it was going to be a push off. But, it was clean. That Bears team is scary. Moving on with Ben Johnson as the head coach. The offense, as long as it sticks together, maybe you start tooling in that defense a little bit, I can see it happen. I can see a lot of things good happening for them. Swift, great season from him from Chicago. The Bears are moving in a better light than I've ever seen them move in the last 12 years. And I'm talking like including Jay Cutler years. I mean, if you know the Jay Cutler aura, that's all you have to know. That this Caleb Williams kid has that. Beating division rivals, winning the division, showing iconic plays that will be talked about for ages in Bears lore, if you're a fan out of Chicago. But again, they lose that one. Now we have an all NFC, not California, but like West Coast type of NFC championship game, all from the same division, NFC West, because Seattle beating out the 49ers 41-6 at home. And that's just like San Fran's kryptonite, right? 49ers last week of the year, they have a chance to get into the playoffs as the number 1 seed, get the first round bye, host a game, and they lose to Seattle, not even getting a touchdown at home. But then you beat out the Eagles, and it's okay. Now we're really moving with something. Brock Purdy looks amazing. Kittle may be gone for the year, but whatever. We're still moving. And you get blown out, as mentioned previously, 41-6 on the road. In division rival, that is. Doing this to you. Where does San Fran go from here? I don't know. I mean, Brock Purdy obviously has proved himself long term. No Deebo Samuel. Obviously going on to Washington. George Kittle. How does he look like next year? Rehab. Rehabilitation through training camp. Does he get on the field? What does that look like? I don't know. I don't think San Fran will be as good as they were this year, and there might be a decline happening over there for the 49ers. Seattle's case with Sam Darnold. Who would have thought that Sam Darnold would be in this situation? From seeing ghosts to seeing wins in the playoffs. The former Jet, now Seahawk. And I know a lot of people talk about him as a Jet, me included, obviously. I feel bad for the Viking fans. What was that, 1 loss year to the regular season? And then you got number 9 as your new quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, who in the beginning, I liked him in the beginning. But again, he'll grow into the game. On the NFL side of things, of course. He'll grow into it. Still got to feel bad. You had Sam Darnold. And now he's moving on deep in the playoffs. The Bills and Broncos game. That's a heavy one to talk about. Because as a South Floridian, obviously for those who follow this podcast and follow our branch of podcasts, this is a South Florida base. All of us really big Dolphin guys. Myself, Dolphin, through and through. I love to see the fact that even without a Lamar Jackson Ravens-led team, even without a Mahomes led Kansas City team. Even without like a Joe Burrow, like whatever it may be, people throughout this entire playoff were talking, well, if Allen doesn't win it this year, when can they win it? If Josh Allen doesn't have an issue going against these teams now. Josh Allen, the only thing that could stop Josh Allen is Josh Allen. I don't know why a lot of people view Josh Allen as like this, oh, this is a top quarterback, this guy is, the most elite talent. Yeah, talent. Have you seen him rolling through all the way to the right to the sideline and just tossing up, hoping that someone is there? And sure, Shakir may be dropping balls. Coleman may be having an off year, whatever. James Cook, to me, is the most useful piece on the offense outside of Josh Allen, the quarterback, that Buffalo has in the running game and passing game. But you look at Josh Allen, 283 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of them, well, my apologies, had a few turnovers, 2 interceptions, one a fumble, running, balls out, and like flop, drops, it rolls, it gets covered by Denver. Denver defensively was all out throughout this game, incredible, ripping balls out for INTs, obviously jumping on fumbles, jumping on any opportunity they could have. Buffalo, on the other hand, did not do any bit of that, But the main story of this game, and of course, for Buffalo, firing Sean McDermott, huge transition now. What does Josh Allen look like in Buffalo now? How do the Bills look like contending-wise with a new head coach? And who knows? Maybe it might be Tomlin. Tomlin leaving Pittsburgh on his own way, parting ways with Steelers. This wouldn't be like a crazy transition if Mike Tomlin takes over in Buffalo. It wouldn't. It's not crazy to say that. But when you look at what's going on in Buffalo, there is going to be some sort of change. They're going to be competitive, obviously. But with the Pats winning out the division, then you have situations where you got I'm looking at the comments, man. Beanbag. I'm glad you said that with a smile. That's the crazy part. But speaking of which, Josh Allen basically pissing it down his leg and getting kicked out of the playoffs by Denver. But unfortunately, I think a lot of Denver fans pissed themselves when they saw Sean Payton basically right after taking the podium. Also, I should let you know, on the second to last play, Bo Nix fractured his ankle. Things basically broken. He's gone for the year. So Garrett Stidham is going to be the quarterback going to the AFC Championship game against New England. Drake may probably win it all at this point. I don't think Denver has, and again, great defensive team, as I said previously before, was an issue for the Bills, will definitely be an issue for New England, and that will be a game, again, in Denver, in Mile High. So there's going to be a lot of things contested about that. It'll be probably the biggest game that Drake Maye has ever played in his career, whether that be collegiately, NFL, definitely high school. I can't imagine a high school championship unless it was like Northwestern versus like Carroll City or like Gaines, which we saw earlier this year. Gaines from Jacksonville. What, Gaines or Reigns? Reigns, my bad. Reigns. Insane slate stuff for high school football. Either way, that's out of the picture. But I'm telling you, though, I don't know what's going to happen with Bo Nix. Like, Bo Nix, to me, is probably going to be he's going to be back stronger. Brian Flores, a new Ravens head coach. I can see that. If you did miss out, I did talk about Halfley being the new head coach for the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins changed to a more defensive side of things now compared to Mike Daniels' former offensive side. And that could be the same thing for Baltimore. Maybe they want it. Okay, look, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, we're not going to win these games offensively. We're not going to hope that Zay Flowers is going to be the moving factor of the season, right? So maybe they might go and be like, yeah, we need defense. We're in the AFC North. We're going against the Steelers. We're going against the Bengals. And no matter how you view it, and no matter who is really in that division, it's always a physical, tough defensive division. You need a tough defense. So I can see Brian Flores there. Now, I always find it funny because actually, believe it or not, Mike McDaniel, some news here from the NFL Network. Mike McDaniel had withdrawn himself from talks of the Cleveland Browns head coaching search. So that just came out recently. So McDaniel could be probably not a Ravens head coach. I can't imagine that. And also the Titans getting Robert Saleh, that was way out of left field. I thought you would get yourself a guy that can work with Cam Ward. Like, again, Mike McDaniel would have been a perfect fit for that, where you have a team where, what is it, Dicka, whatever his name is, the punt returner from Florida that went as a Pro Bowler in his first year for the Titans. A lot of great offensive pieces you can use over there with Cam Ward. I thought they'll go offense and win a defensive side. So I don't know what Baltimore's going to be thinking. But Brian Flores, I could see that for the Ravens. Now, again, about this Denver situation, Garrett Stidham going to face a New England team. And defensively, they're a better team than a lot of people think. But I think the offensive pieces, New England might have the best offensive team. Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte. And yes, that is actually how you pronounce his name, Kayshon Boutte. Top 5 football, just period. Just top 5 football name ever. Like, what was it? Like General Boutte was a tight end in college. Then something Beers, who funny enough played at FIU, another tight end. It's usually the tight ends. They're going to be guys. But I think when you look at what goes on in New England, you can't deny that they're going to win it all this year. Like, let's put a hypothetical, because if you told me right now, okay, cool, Pats beating out Broncos probably don't have a chance of the game, whatever. Or you could say Garrett Stidham somehow levels up in his first ever career start. And yes, this will be his first ever career start in the NFL in the playoffs, I believe. I believe he might have started for New England when he got drafted by New England, which is also a revenge game, which I think is also even another storyline to look at. But let's just say Broncos move on. They're beating out Seattle? Probably not. What about the Rams? Matthew Stafford, just perfect precision. We saw it against the Rams. We saw it against the Bears. We saw it throughout the entire NFL season as they kept on pushing through the NFC late to be in a good seed. I don't think the Broncos will beat any of those teams out in the NFC. New England, if they go on, they're the team to beat, right? On fire quarterback, second year Drake Maye. And I can do a whole podcast about talking about Drake Maye. Whether that be for North Carolina Drake Maye, if we had Jonka Don't Stop, who obviously is one of our biggest Canes affiliates, but he's also a huge Pats fan. And what he tells me about Drake Maye is like as if Jaden Daniels was on this team. You know what I mean? Like, it's just insanity. Either way, I think when you look at where the teams defensive from the NFC would face against New England, the Rams wouldn't be close. Seattle, you have an argument. Again, obviously, this isn't the Legion of Boom, but they do have a great secondary. They get onto the ball. They can force out things. But when a team's hot, a team's hot. And the hottest team right now in the NFL is the Patriots. They've been like that since September. Start off the first 5 games kind of weak, and then start steamrolling guys. That's what I think is going to happen in the playoffs later on this week. Again, you can find a lot of these playoff games on ESPN, CBS, NBC. Conference championship games Sunday on CBS. Pats, Broncos, I got Patriots winning that one. It's not going to be too close, even though you're playing a mile high. This will be the biggest game of Drake Maye's career. And the Patriots defense are getting laid off easy with a backup quarterback. So that's what I think is going to happen in New England. Rams, Seahawks. I think the Seahawks got it. It's going to be a close game. That might be like a marquee game, primetime game. Matthew Stafford on the road. You really want to, no other way you want it, And again, Super Bowl being played in California. So the Rams trying to go back to the home state. Not the home field, but the home state. So I think that'll all be interesting. that's all the time we have right now for this podcast. I appreciate you guys commenting, joining in, whether good or bad. Either way, all we talk is ball on this one every single Tuesday. If you're more interested as well in Plug Talk Sports, because we talk again hockey, we talk baseball, basketball, you name it, all South Florida, sometimes around the world if something's crazy. Speaking of which, did anybody see that hockey fight? Bobrovsky for the Panthers against the San Jose Sharks. A hockey fight for the first time in 6 years. Bob, for those who are Panther fans, Sergei Bobrovsky is like a heavy Orthodox Christian Russian goalie. Like, you will never see him get mad, raise a voice, and he sprinted. Now, when you have full pads as a goalie in hockey and you're sprinting down for a fight, that's as the equivalent, the closest a human being will ever get to being a bowling ball, right? Like, insane to see that all while going on during a national championship for the Miami Hurricanes. And that wasn't even the biggest story. Like, Jimmy Butler got hurt, out for the whole year against Miami. And not a lot of people talking about that. But we will talk more about that next Monday on the main Plug Talk Sports. So I appreciate you guys and your comments. I'll see you guys next Tuesday for Sideline and later on next week. Have a good one.